Welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. We are here to have fun today. We are working on the Quilt Show's Block of the Month, and I'm so thrilled that we are. I'm excited to jump into the log cabin blocks. There's an inner border that goes around this square, and it's made out of this block, and can we see it? Yeah, this one that I never got around to. So these two, this block and this block, there are 20 of each, and they go around this block. And if you're watching this, you probably already know that. But if not, you guys are missing out. This is a fun block of the month. So there's 20 of 3 different blocks. The log cabin one is the third one. And then that was released this month, so that's the one we're working on. The second one was this one, and then the first one was this one. And I initially was going to do all of mine by hand, but through much agonizing, I finally defaulted to where a finished quilt is better than having a work in progress that would be a forever work in progress. It's just too lofty of a goal. I think I need a different season in life. In fact, the season I was in prior to this one would have been a good season to have been doing a lot of handwork, but I wasn't there. Actually, with all the neck issues that I had, I don't know that I could have done any of the handwork. I don't think I could have. There's not a lot I could do very consistently. It was a tough go. I'm telling you, it was not a fun ride. But, so here we go. In my hand was a better demonstration. So this inner row, this inner column is going to be our log cabins. That's what we get to start on today. I'm so excited. I walked through on Friday's video with you guys the colors, the fabrics that I had curated to make these blocks out of, and I felt like I needed a few more. So I went to the quilt store when I was in town yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. My days are running together. Anyway, I did get a few more navies, and I'm so excited about that. I think I mentioned that in today's video. Yeah, it's been a week. It's been about 9 days of really pushing it hard to get my son's duplex ready to sell. This was not just a small duplex. This was a 3,300 2-story, 120-year-old duplex, and some renovations had gone on, but that listing is going live like right now, supposedly. So my body is fried, my brain is fried, but you know what else fried my brain? Can I just say, before we get started here, can I just say, I spent about 2 hours this morning working on an IT problem that was plaguing me for the past 2 years. And I've figured out a workaround. I could not print from my computer, from my MacBook or from my Mac Mini, which is more of a desktop unit. I could not get the software for my Epson printer to work with Apple. I could send whatever it was I needed to print to my phone and print, so I finally just gave up trying to get my computers to talk to my printer. But it became a problem when I needed to start printing out templates, and I couldn't figure it out whenever I first needed these templates. And so my blocks are going to be off from what they're supposed to be, because from my phone, I could not get it to print to scale, and at 100%. And so I know these are going to be off. So whenever I get these blocks that I'm constructing, we're going to be constructing by cutting exact size and then piecing them together. So they will be exactly the size they're supposed to be. Whereas, all of this and these are not going to be. So once I get all of my log cabins built, and if all of this is too small to span over the distance of the entirety of 4 of the log cabins, I may have to put a little border on around them or something. I don't know, but I'm prepared to do that. I was prepared to do that from the very beginning. I'm serious. It was probably May or June of 2022 when this printer problem became an issue. And I spent hours on it back then to try to figure it out. But this morning I was like, this is not right. We can't have this printer issue affecting how my quilts go together. That's ridiculous. I was ready to go out and buy a new printer. And that's ridiculous too. So I logged on to Epson today. They did have new software. I downloaded it, but Apple said, hey, we won't open that piece of software because we don't recognize who it's coming from. Oh, it was a big deal. Anyway, it took me about an hour and a half, but you know what? I persevered and I got it. I'm so excited. I can print, at least for my MacBook. With all that aside, have you ever been there? I mean, have you ever been there? Had these IT problems that have just plagued you? Well, I feel quite victorious. I have conquered. I have won. I've accomplished my goal, and my printer no more, evermore, hopefully, will ever impact how my quilts go together. It's kind of sad I didn't do all that so that I could print these templates out accurately, but you know what? It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So let's get down to the business of the day. I have some cutting to do. Before I get started, I've got a little mess to clean up. Initially, when I was working on the unicorn quilt, I was going to come right back to it. So I left my mess out from the unicorn quilt. And so that's kind of scrunched me over into this side of the studio. That's not cool. My cutting table needs to be functional for me. And it's been over a week now, maybe 2 or a week and a half that I haven't touched the unicorn quilt. And it's going to be days before I get back to it. So I'm going to clear off my cutting table, get ready so that I can cut out multiple layers of fabric at a time, because I think that's the best way to go about doing these log cabins. Okay, my friend sent me a message this morning to watch my video where I talked to you guys about this. I think it was in the Friday video. And I erroneously said it was 100% cotton. And so she looked on the wrapper for this yarn, and it's merino wool, and I think rayon. I had to go back and look at it. And it's in the phone and I'm using the phone to record this. So that's not going to happen. But as I went to move it, I thought, you know what? I might be able to wear that today. It's a little cool in here. I had just turned the heat up, and I am not walking with Zoe because it is a little cool outside. And it makes much more sense to wear something beautiful like this. I love how lightweight it is. I know you guys are not here to talk about scarves, but you probably appreciate such things too, and lovely gifts as this, and lovely people like my Marco. I'm going to get back to cleaning up really quickly, and then we're going to talk about cutting our fabrics and making our log cabins. This is going to be my first log cabin to ever make. Can you believe that? Check this out. My mother uncovered this while she was giving me some things, some thread, I think, and some other things. This is clearly dated, clearly several years old. Look at that. I had never ever thought that there would be a credit card just for buying fabric. It makes sense. I mean, there's credit cards for buying anything, vacations or golfing or anything. But that just still kind of tells me what a passion fabric has been for a long time for MasterCard to get it, that women would want access to fabric on a level that they would go and open a credit card just to get that fabric. I think that's interesting. And I thought this was going to be something that was just from history. But if you Google, and some of you may have this, but if you Google this, you can get credit cards right now. MasterCard credit cards just for buying fabric. Craziness. Don't you wish you could clean up your place that quickly? I did time it. It was 15 minutes total from the mess you saw from the beginning to where it is now. Is it perfect? No. And that's okay. I'm not looking for perfection anymore. Perfection is overrated when you're trying to be productive. Okay, I got some things to show you. I'm going to get you a little closer. I know that we are here to talk about Pick-A-Petal, but I just want to tease you about something. I'm going to start this week a little ahead of schedule, but I'm sure there are other early starters too. These are my fabrics for working on a Moody Midnight Ocean palette quilt. The quilt along, the sew along that's being done with Kimberly Jolly, Lisa Alexander, Susan Aki, Pat Sloan, Sherry McConnell, who knows who else that's a bigger name that you would know. is doing it, but I'm sure there's going to be lots of little people like me doing it too. Partly why I'm showing this to you is that I might steal a little bit of this to go along with our fabrics that we've picked out for the log cabins. Let me show you why. So I'm going to put it on this so I can tilt it up. Get you a little bit higher too, so you can look down on it. Okay, so that was one that I may not use in our log cabin, but what I'm about to put on here are ones that we're gonna be using in our log cabin, with this being our primary color that we're trying to work with, right? Hope the lighting is good. Let me get some more light on this. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna put this underneath it so we can tilt it up so you can see. Okay, so this is our main blue color that we're wanting to work with, and dark navy, and here's another, and we pulled out all these, and then when I went to the store to get more to go with this, and I'll show you my haul in just a second, don't all those just look really pretty together? And of course I'm giving some thought. Well, here's more blue. This is a little brighter, but maybe a little bit of brightness would be good to break up, give a little bit of visual relief. But I thought about putting that in the center of the log cabins. I think that'd look too modern, but if I put a piece of each log cabin includes one of this, or like maybe half of them includes it, I think a little bit of this sprinkled in amongst all the blue would be fine. We'll give it a go. And then there's that. I just have a random layer cake to go with that. Let's make this represent less here, since we're going to use a whole lot less of it. This is what I knew I had going on before I went into the quilt store. Now let me show you. I'm going to dump this so we don't have a rattle of the bag. Now, so I went to the quilt store looking for navies to add into this, and found these are the same thing, and found these. I'll talk to you about this in a minute. That's the whole reason we're doing this demonstration. And we've got this lovely, look at that. Can you see that? Put that up there. It's navy. It just almost looks black. Got this one. Gonna put that right there. Got this beautiful paisley. It's kind of bright too, but not as bright as that, just a little bit. It might make that brightness make sense. I'm loving these, loving these. Another paisley. I fell in love with these paisleys. They had them in multiple colors. Who is this by? Don't think my selvage says. I don't have a selvage on this sample. This one is so lovely. I want to use it in both this quilt and in the Moody Midnight Ocean, because that looks like something you'd see swirling around inside the ocean, doesn't it? Doesn't it? And this is the Camille Roskelly Shoreline. Which one is this? What do they call this one? I don't see a specific name for this one, just numbers. It's a stock 55-300. Anyway, this will make a beautiful bag for this quilt that we're going to be starting this coming week on Tuesday. It occurred to me on the way home, I can steal from this stack to go into this stack, and this stack to go into this stack. I think everything's going to play nicely together, and it's quite by happenstance. I don't know if I'm having a fascination with, deeply saturated blues or what. But then you look at this, and I fell in love with it, and I helped my friend pick out this color even. I used to think that green was my favorite, but maybe it's becoming blue. You could think that if I was picking this particular one because of my preferences. This particular quilt, the Peace and Quilt So Long, that's not awkward to say at all, is it? The Peace and Quilt So Long that I'm going to be doing with the Fat Quarter Shop. That colorway was chosen because of my friend's preferences. She doesn't like color. She likes all neutral, but she does have just a little bit of moody blue in her bedroom. And so if you're going to insert any color in her house, it's got to have a moody feel. She loves the ocean. She's one that went with me to Charleston so that she could to help me with one of my surgeries, and she was able to go to the ocean, so it worked out kind of a win-win. She says it is, but there was no win-win for her. Taking somebody to the hospital is not a vacation. I'm just saying. It is not a vacation. Anyway, so I've got these lovely, deep pool of blues in here that I can't wait to start on. We got this deep blues that we're going to make a log cabin out of. It's like a sea and turf or surf and turf or something like that. Isn't that kind of combination? We got log cabins and then we got the ocean. A little bit of dichotomy. Was that the right word? I picked up a 50 weight Aurifil in blue since I'm going to be dealing with so many blues. It's not as dark as I would like, but it's the darkest thing they had without going with black. Now, I'm sure that there's something. Let's see what one thread pulled out on these fabrics looks like. It looks like it's kind of bright, but I bet one thread is going to be fine. Oh yeah, that looks fine. That looks fine. That looks fine. This is number 1158, so 50 weight. I really am in love with 60 weight now that I've worked with some 60 weight. Let me show you that. I had switched over to doing a 60 weight for my hand sewing for the Pick-A-Petal. And I love that. I mean, it is so thin in my hand between my fingers. I can almost discern it's there. It's I can feel it gliding through my fingers as I pull it through, but I can't really feel it between my fingers unless I'm pulling it. Does that make sense? Because it just practically isn't there. It's amazing. Thread is amazing for it to be that thin and to be strong. And that's not one ply. Modern technology is something else. So I'm getting better equipped on my threads, and I'm excited about that. My mother has a little case that belonged to my stepfather that she's going to give me to help me keep track of my threads. I'm excited to get that in the studio. It's a bright red. It's going to pop. All right, so we got to figure out how to cut everything, right? That's what we're going to do next. I just looked at my receipt for that thread, and it's considered a medium gray. It looks very navy to me, but it's considered a medium gray. At least the receipt says it is. And let's look at these. These are pretty similar, right? I don't know how it's going to show up on screen. They're pretty similar. There is a difference. This has a little bit more of a purple undertone to it, but it's about the same value, or this is a slightly lighter value. And this has a little bit of purple undertone. See if you can see that. Try to get the light on it in different directions here. Okay, no way that's a medium gray. That is definitely a blue, right? Do you see anything about that would make you define it as medium gray? But I guess they get to call it whatever they want. And also on my receipt is the name of this one. This one is called Navy Cottage Florals. I'm going to keep this receipt in here. And when I start this quilt, I'm going to start journaling it. And I'm not too far into doing this one that I can't journal it to. Since the Pick-A-Petal quilt-along block a month quilt-along is so scrappy, I mean, that's a lot of documenting, right? So I don't know that I'm going to document everything, but anything kind of predominant, like this dotted navy that I'm using heavily as my background, or anything else that shows up significantly. Because I've got a little bit of multiple lines. In this one, Pick-A-Petal, there's just too many different fabrics. So I'm not going to document everything. But some details I need to start documenting. So I need to commit that. So I'm saying it publicly to you guys, so I feel a bit committed that I need to start journaling. I'm going to definitely start with this one, figure out the different elements that I want to record on each one, size, designer, fabrics used, maybe a little bit of a description of why I chose it, who it's for, when I started it, what else should I include? I don't know. And once I start journaling on this, since I'm starting from scratch, it'll probably help me to build my Excel spreadsheet, and then I can fill out from this quilt the things I know from it and put into another sheet on that file. Do you guys do something similar? Do you have a better technique? I'm not gonna buy a notebook to keep it in. I'm not gonna handwrite these things in it. I know I'm not. It would go to waste if I bought one. I think they're pretty and they're beautiful and the concept is awesome. I'm more about not having to spend money to journal it and about efficiency and doing it for my references and a database that I can file and research on my phone and add to it on my phone or add to it on the go. That kind of thing, that interests me. I have literally cut fabric all day. I stopped to eat twice, had a snack or two in there, and let Zoe outside about 20 times. Other than that, I stood at my cutting table and I cut fabric all day. Thoroughly enjoyed it too. I'm not complaining. After the week I had of running really hard to get stuff done at that duplex and juggling all kinds of things, it was pure pleasure just to stand in one spot and cut. My neck isn't thoroughly happy with me. It's a lot of leaning over and looking down. So that's why I take breaks to give my neck a break. Should be use the word neck and break all in one sentence. All right, my friends. So what did I do? My theory about how I approach this, since I'm using just one colorway for the blocks, and I'm going to have 20 blocks out of the same colorway, all out of blue, was I mixed together, like I layered up my fabrics 4 to 7 at a time. From each of those stacks, I cut one of each of the units that go into the block. And then where I had some scrap pieces or whatever, then I might cut an odd one here and there. So I did get off of my system, but my system worked well. And I think it was efficient use of my fabric. I figured out what worked the best for me was to start with the longest piece, start with the 8.5 at the bottom, and then the next one would be a 7.5 and 6.5. And that way you're kind of stair stepping on the fabric. I think the fabric that was left behind then is more usable than if I had approached this in a different manner. I hope so. I like being thoughtful about fabric waste while I'm cutting. So hopefully everything's fine. There's some waste. There's gonna be, but I don't feel like I threw a lot away. I feel very accomplished. I set out thinking I would get 3 blocks done. I think I may have said that on camera. Well, that was foolish because I know me. I like to push through. Yes, I want to get started on the cutting, but I also don't want to. The idea of going back and starting to cut again would have held me up. I would have like postponed it, pushed it off, and not want to get back into it because it would have felt like a bigger project than what it is. I felt like it was more efficient use of my time to push forward and just get my cutting done, get to the end of that activity of this set of blocks. And so I'm completely set up. This is all of the pieces that I will need to make all 20 of those blocks. I have a few of the reds in here. I did pull the red fabric out here and there so that I would not have an equal distribution of red. I just want the red scattered. I have no logic behind using the red, besides I just want to. You know, you could say it's that center square of a log cabin that's always used as the heart of the home. You know, I think the original log cabin block always had a red square in the middle. That's what I've heard anyway, but I don't know if that's folklore or not. I just like the idea of interspersing some not yellow, some red here and there. And since it matches my blue like that, I felt like it was a good call. we'll see. I can always cut something else if I don't like it. So clearly next time what we're going to be doing is working on piecing, and since I'm completely ready to piece, I should get many done next time, especially since I'm using the machine. I need to feel accomplished on something on this quilt. And if I can push through getting these log cabins done, then I can circle back around to block 2 and get some of those done before May when we get our applique instructions. And I don't know how that's going to work. I've never done any applique. I've never used a template for applique. I mean, I've made applique stitches and I've done some applique, but I haven't done anything like what we're being presented in this quilt. So there's going to be a huge learning curve. So I need to have at least all of this done and ready so I don't feel like I'm just continually getting behind and behind and behind. My friends, I hope you're enjoying your stitching. Whatever projects you're working on, I hope they're going well. I'm excited to share these with you. I hope that they help to encourage you too as you see me making decisions, and you agree or disagree with them, and they help to solidify what you're wanting to do. That's what I'm here for, to make you feel better. Oh, my friends, I'm excited. I think it's going to look good. I do. I hope that you guys can see my vision. Thank you for being here, being on this journey with me, encouraging me, guiding me, and directing me. It means a lot. And all of you who have been subscribing, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. All right, my friends, take care. We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye.